All right, day 19, Monica Sementilli trial. They started late today, per usual, so we got in a little bit of a new trial that started today. If you have time, go check it out. It is Stacy Rodriguez. I think it's going to be a pretty quick trial, maybe a week, maybe not even. So they started late. I have it teed up, ready to go for the first person to take the stand, but we are not far behind at all. And you know, with their many breaks and their massive lunch break, that's 2 to 3 hours, that we will catch up immediately. So let me go ahead and put myself into the corner and we will get this started. We're still on verdict watch for the Jermaine Bass trial. They started deliberating this morning. I think they'll have a verdict very soon. That is their audio out right now, not mine. Well, now I'm questioning it. Hold on. Oh, there it is.
About the Target parking lot and the fact that you went out to that location on multiple days. Looking at what's now been marked as People's 214, and Your Honor, there's a number 2 in the right, lower left corner. Do you know what's depicted here?
Yes, that's within the red circles is just showing where the surveillance cameras are located on that portion of the front of the building, the target.
Showing you, I think you talked about this yesterday, 214 with the 3 in the lower left corner. You mentioned a camera that was facing the area where one would enter. What do we see here?
Yes, that's a camera that kind of covers that, I guess it would be the northeast corner of the building.
As well as the cameras we just looked at in 214, or at least one of them, number 2, orienting it from another angle as well as another camera facing the parking lot.
Correct.
Okay. Showing you People's 214 with a 4 in the lower left corner. Are these additional cameras on the front of the building facing the parking lot?
Yes, these are the cameras that will pick up the far end of the parking lot that runs adjacent to the freeway.
The one, the area where Robert Baker parked and backed in the rented silver Nissan Versa?
Correct.
Okay. Showing you People's 214, number 5. Is this showing some of these cameras at the front of the building facing, taken from a different perspective?
Correct.
Towards the direction from which Robert Baker would have walked into the store on January 23rd, 2017.
Yes, exactly.
Showing you People's 214 with a 6 in the lower left corner. Here we go. Can you tell us what we see here, starting with the photograph on the left?
This is going to capture the door when you enter the target, the front entrance.
Okay. The one on the left from backed out viewpoint, so you have some context and a close-up in the one on the lower right corner.
That's correct.
Showing you People's 214, where there's a 7 in the lower left corner. Are these photographs taken from the back area of that lot facing the Target store?
Yes.
And to the right in the lower left corner, sorry, lower right corner.
Are these photos of the date of the murder, or just photos?
I'm going to object to the speaking objection.
If you're objecting as this is assuming facts on evidence or things of that nature,
Yes.
it's overruled. You're free to inquire from the examination.
Thank you.
Again, what do we see here in these two photographs, Detective?
This is just an overall of the parking lot, and I believe you were pointing out the area on the very right end of the photo, exactly where your pen is there. That is where you would enter.
And just to the right of where the entrance is, that would be where that building is that we looked at yesterday that had a white roof where the Payless store was located.
Correct.
All right. Showing you People's 214, this photograph has a 9, Your Honor, in the lower left corner. Can you orient us as to what we're looking at here?
Sure. So this area here where you see the green, I guess it's a trash dumpster, it's hard to tell. That was the area that we saw where Baker pulls into when he repositions the Nissan Versa.
Looks like it's maybe a...
Sort of maybe a storage or...
Okay. And that was the area where we talked about there was a small pedestrian gate that leads you through into the shopping center adjacent to the Target parking lot, correct?
Correct.
And then what do we see to the left here? Yes.
This is, so if you went into that little pedestrian gate, you would come around, walk through that pedestrian gate and come out this area, or you could just walk along this sidewalk and through this driveway, and it takes you around to Ventura Boulevard.
Okay. Where the entrance is back into the Target parking lot.
Correct.
And this area here, where I'm pointing with my pen to the left, this is that other shopping center area that feeds into or from the Target parking lot, correct?
Yes.
And if one were to go through this this shopping center, does that also lead you out onto, I think it's DeSoto there?
Yes, I believe you can exit either DeSoto or Ventura Boulevard.
Yes. Showing you People's 14, there's a 10 in the lower left corner, Your Honor. Can you describe for us what we see here?
This, again, is that area where we see the vehicle repark. And over here would have been in the previous photo where we saw that green, whatever it was, it's no longer there, but this is to illustrate the parking area.
Okay, the green storage container?
Yes, correct.
Okay. And this area here would feed you into that shopping center that we saw in the previous exhibit, People's 214, number 9.
Correct.
Now, at this point, I want to move back to the timeline and looking at what we see displayed this morning in the top right corner. Do you know what this is a notice of coming in on the defendant, Monica Sementilli's phone, this text message, what this relates to?
Again, this is a notification that she's receiving from her security system that her closet mirror is opened.
That's cumulative, that was asked and answered yesterday.
Overruled.
Okay, and that comes in the text message at 2:03 in the afternoon, prior to the time that the defendant leaves her home.
That's correct.
Were you aware, from your review of the interviews in this case, that in the recording of the interview that took place on May 18th, 2017 at the defendant's home with Detective Parshall, Detective Gable, and Detective Tellis, that she indicated to them during the course of that interview that Fabio used the safe for various items, but she did not.
Yes.
Were you also aware that she told detectives?
I'm going to reject this is argumentative and already.
I have no idea. I haven't heard the question yet. I'll take your objection as submission.
I believe it was during the Perkins operation when she was subsequent to her arrest on June 14th of 2017 that Detective Gable came to the cell door and mentioned that warrants were being served simultaneously at her home and Baker's and other locations, and she was asked about the code to the safe, that she indicated that she never used the safe and she didn't know what the password was.
Yes.
All right.
And you believe in this case here?
Overruled.
From your review of the various reports and evidence in this case, was the safe the area where the victim in this case, Fabio Sementilli, stored or kept his gold coins, which I believe was also testified to the other day when you were here by a witness, Sam Pulera?
Argumentative in this case here?
Overruled.
Yes.
Thank you. All right. Now we're going to move on to the slide at 3:26 in the afternoon, where the defendant leaves her residence, and I want you to give us, when you look at the video and the timeline, how long it takes her to get to the area where the Ralph's Market would be, which is the corner of Ventura and Winnetka.
Yes.
I believe.
In this case, the evidence leaving the residence going to the
Overruled.
I'm sorry, going to the Target, but what I'm asking, again, I'm asking about the time period when she passes on the video the Ralph's Market, again, at the corner of Winnetka and Ventura.
Yes, I understand. Okay, so we know through this video that she leaves the residence at 3:26 p.m. in the black Ford F-150 and travels down Oakdale.
We can move on to the next.
As she's driving, there's a series of 2 Viber messages between Monica Sementilli and Robert Baker.
Okay.
This is now the video that captures her sort of skirting around the traffic to go through the light at Winnetka and it takes her just 2 minutes to get there.
So at this point, she's passed the Ralphs, which took 2 minutes to get there,
Correct.
and she is on her way to the Target lot.
Yes. We're seeing here just a minute after her passing the Ralphs, a text message from Monica to Robert Baker at 3:29, 41 seconds.
Okay.
And just a little under 2 minutes later, she enters, or we see Monica driving the black F-150 enter the Target lot.
Now looking at the video, we saw the previous one where she was caught on video on her way to the location.
Sustain.
On video, captured on video, 3:29 and 44 seconds within the red circle
Yes.
at the center left area. Is that the black Ford F-150?
Yes.
And the purple area, is that the circle in the towards the center of this particular video? Is that the location of the Payless store?
Yes.
And the photograph, or what's circled in green to the right in the center, is that the same area where Baker had reparked his vehicle and it still remains at the back of the lot?
Yes.
Okay. And is this her taking a right into the Target parking lot?
Yes.
Okay. And then taking a left towards the Payless?
That's
If you-
correct.
If you could back up just a few frames, please. Okay. Can you tell us what you see on the video, captured on the video at this point, in the purple circle?
Yes, if you really pay attention to that corner of that white building, when we talked about how the cameras were blurry, but you can see movement, and it's easily, at least it was easy for me to distinguish between the movement of a car and the movement of a person walking through the lot. If you pay attention to that corner, you can see the shadow of a person come from that corner and walk into the lot.
Now, when you went out to the Target parking lot, did you note that there was actually that area there has cars, but that that are parked, as we see along the diagonal area here?
Yes.
That when this the defendant's Ford F-150 comes around, that it actually stops in a lane of traffic.
Yes.
You could play that slowly.
No, this is all leading.
So ruled.
Right there, is that a figure?
Yes. Appears to be wearing dark clothing.
Okay. See that figure right there?
Yes.
Okay. Again there.
Yep.
Walking towards the vehicle.
That's correct.
And then the Ford F-150 stops.
And it's very hard to see, but you can see the movement of that shadow come around the front of the F-150.
And at that point, does it appear that the individual who we saw walking along as you're facing the target store, the left side of the building where there's a walkway that feeds you from Ventura Boulevard, that the figure comes around the front of the vehicle to the front passenger side of the vehicle?
Yes.
Leading.
Sustained?
Okay.
Objections on timing, Mr. Levine.
Tell me what you see.
You almost simultaneously as the F-150 nears that corner of the Payless, you see that figure come out of the corner of the Payless, approach the car as it comes to a stop. The figure walks around the front of the F-150 to the passenger side of the vehicle.
And at that point, does the Ford F-150 then move forward and park?
Yes,
Is that what we're seeing here at 3:30 and 22 seconds?
that's correct.
And the figure is no longer there.
Right, you don't see the figure leave the area after the Ford F-150 reparks.
And then what do we see here happen with respect to where the Ford F-150 parks?
It parks on that very far corner. It's almost the last parking spot in that row at the very back of the lot, and it remains there for a little over 4 minutes.
Okay, let me ask you another question while we're stopped at this point. Just to the right of that red circle where the defendant parked in the Ford F-150 to the rear of the target lot, just to the right of that in the green circle, what do we see there?
That is indicating the location where the Robert Baker had repositioned the silver Nissan.
Okay. And what do we see here?
This is just orientating you to the green circle. That's that little alcove where Baker had repositioned the car, and the red circle is the F-150, and it's just showing you the relationship to the parking lot and where they're both parked.
Okay. And then during that 4-minute period, when Baker's vehicle is at the back of the lot to the right and the defendant's vehicle is parked to the back of the lot just to the left of him, are there any Viber messages during that 4.5-minute period?
There are not.
Okay. Moving on to the time period between 3:34 and 3:42 in the afternoon on January 23rd of 2017. Looking at 3:34, what do we see here?
We're going to see after that 4.5 approximate time frame, Monica back out of that spot that she's parked into the rear of the lot and repark her F-150 a little closer to the entrance. So we just kind of see slowly the car moving through the lot towards the entrance to the target and repark.
Okay, and does this show us the, let's go back. In this slide here, does it show us the context of the location now where she's reparked towards the front of the target. It's sort of in the middle area, it looks like, of the lot, and with Baker's vehicle still there on the same area where he had reparked.
That's correct.
Okay. Now looking at 3:36 p.m., what do we see here?
That is Monica sending a Viber message to Robert Baker. Then 1 minute later, approximately 3 minutes after Monica reparks the F-150, we see Robert Baker driving the silver Nissan exit the parking lot.
I'm going to object to Robert Baker. That's the conclusion.
Sustained.
His vehicle at that point drives away from the target location, and he's not seen at that location again after that?
That's correct.
What do we see here at 3:36 and 29 seconds?
We're going to see the silver Nissan exiting the parking lot. If I recall correctly, he actually exits through that alternate exit that we were talking about.
Okay.
We don't have video of whether he travels on to DeSoto or Ventura after that.
And at that point,
Again, Your Honor, objection. That's the conclusion to who's driving.
it's an inference reasonable to
So,
remember.
excuse me, that's for argument, not for evidence. Sustained.
Okay. At this point, the vehicle drives towards as we talked about, the other shopping center that is to the left in this particular diagram, or behind the Target parking lot.
Correct.
And at that point, there's no video that shows whether he traveled directly forward, which would be towards, is that DeSoto?
Yes.
Or whether he takes a left and goes out to Ventura Boulevard, where I believe we see that marked on the diagram. Is that correct? It says Ventura Boulevard?
Your Honor, this is all speculation and argument.
The term he, I would refer to that as the vehicle. Proceed.
I'm talking about where it went or did not go.
Oh, overruled.
Is that correct, that the Ventura Boulevard is marked on the diagram there? It shows us, if you were to turn left, that you would hit Ventura Boulevard?
That's correct.
Okay. So at that point, there's no videotape, so we don't know which direction he traveled.
We don't know which direction the vehicle traveled.
Okay. All right. And now, what do we see happen a half a minute later, 30 seconds later, even less than that, 3:37 and 56 seconds.
There is an outgoing call, and it's Monica calling Jessica, her daughter.
And is this while her vehicle is still parked in the Target parking lot, now has been reparked towards the center of the lot, towards
Yeah.
the front of the building?
Yes.
Okay. And what do we see here at the same, approximately the same time, just a few minutes later, a few seconds later?
It's just the same information, that same call logging.
Okay. And what do we see here at 3:39?
So, yeah, approximately 3 minutes after the F-150 is reparked, we will see Monica exit that vehicle and walk through the lot and into the Target.
And where the red circle is indicated with a white box on it, does this track her progress as she walks from the Ford F-150 towards the front of the store?
Yes.
then at this point here, 3:39, in about 10 seconds, do we lose sight of her?
We lose
With
sight,
this-
very,
yes.
very quickly lose sight, and then pick it back up a few seconds later. This interior camera catches her actually inside the store now.
Okay. And at that point, do we lose sight of her in the store?
Yes. Actually, then she pops back into frame, and she's got her cart and walks towards do her shopping.
Okay.
And then we do lose sight until she exits.
All right. And then what do we, oops. What do we see happen now after she enters the store at 3:40 p.m.?
Monica sends a text message, instant message to Jessica, her daughter, reminding her, don't be late for babysitting.
And again, at this point, she's using regular communication, so we have the content. Is that correct? That's how you know it says don't be late for babysitting?
That's correct. And we know based on the information that Jessica at this point hasn't left the Sementilli residence. She's still there along with Fabio.
Okay. And they're the only two in the residence at that point as depicted in the top left corner.
Correct.
All right. And what do we see here at 3:41?
This is the response from Jessica to Monica. I won't. LOL. Laugh out loud.
And what is the next thing that we see happen at 3:47?
So we'll see Jessica leaving the Sementilli residence. She pulls out of the resident driveway, makes that same exit path on Queen Victoria to Oakdale. And here she is driving the red convertible Mustang.
Same vehicle we saw yesterday that she drove with her mother to the LA Fitness.
Correct.
Okay. So now at this point, Fabio is he home alone? There's no one else in the residence besides him?
He's home alone.
Okay. And this is just a couple minutes after the defendant messaged Jessica not to be late.
Correct.
Okay. What's the next event that we see?
So this is Monica's cell phone activating that IDMSS light app system, which we know is that surveillance system that plugs directly into the IP address of the Sementilli residence. And that's at 3:53 and 57 seconds.
So, about 6 minutes after, 12 minutes after she contacted her daughter not to be late, and about 6 minutes after Jessica leaves, the defendant connects to the application to view her home surveillance cameras.
Yes.
Okay?
That was leading.
It is, but it was also untimely. It's overruled.
And what do we see next?
During this period from 4 p.m. to about 4:15 p.m., Monica's cell phone connects with the IP address to the Sementilli residence 8 times.
Okay.
You got mistakes the other.
It's overruled.
And this indicates the distance between the target and the Sementilli residence
Yes,
at 2 miles.
yes, it is. It's 2
Does
miles.
that appear to be consistent with what you know it to be?
Yeah, I believe it's almost exactly 2 miles from the Sementilli residence to the target.
Okay.
Well, that calls for conclusion depending on the route you take.
Overruled.
And what is the next event that we see here at 4:18 p.m.?
This is the video that depicts Robert Baker and Christopher Austin running up Oakdale towards the Sementilli residence.
And this is at
I believe it was 4:18.
4:18 p.m.
Correct. 4:18 p.m. Of course, their faces are covered, and they've taken measures to not be recognized, obviously. We see 'em-
Faces are covered, hands are covered.
yeah, and when face is like completely covered, you can't see even anything other than the nose area. They round the corner and run up Queen Victoria, which would be towards the Sementilli residence.
Okay. So, what is the next event?
Incoming call to Monica from her daughter Isabella, and that's at 4:22 with 9 seconds.
And yesterday, I believe we saw that at 1:40 on this date, the defendant messaged Bella to let her know when she was on her way home.
Yes.
Okay. And almost simultaneous with the incoming call from Bella to the defendant, what do we see?
Object, that's argumentative.
It's overruled.
This is, it's just the cell phone, sometimes the records come in this way and it almost double captures the call. I believe, it's my opinion that this is the same call,
Okay.
just recorded 2 seconds later.
No foundation.
Overruled.
Okay. What's the next thing that we see?
This is Monica Sementilli placing an outgoing call to Isabella about 2 minutes after the incoming call from Isabella.
Okay. And then what do we see at 4:27, 3 minutes after
Monica,
she completes the call?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Monica receiving an incoming call from Joseph Cohen, OD.
And do you know who that is?
I believe it's a dentist, her dentist, I believe.
Could that be
Or
a-
eye doctor, I'm sorry, eye doctor,
Yeah.
sorry.
And with respect to, again, your review of the evidence in this case, as we will see, was Bella after school. I think we talked about yesterday that she was going for an interview at a deli, and then after that was going to as she told detectives in her interview, pick up a set of eyeglasses on her way home.
Correct.
Okay. And so at this point, at 4:27, after the defendant ends her call with Bella, the defendant then has a call from the eye doctor.
Yes.
Okay. And then what do we see after that incoming call?
Monica places an outgoing call to the same eye doctor.
Okay. Would that be consistent with being on the call with Isabella when a call is coming in from the eye doctor, missing the call from the eye doctor, or switching over to the call from the eye doctor, or calling that eye doctor back?
Objection, leading speculation.
Sustain on the second row.
Okay. From your review of the records, the CDRs, was it consistent with the defendant being on the phone with Isabella and then calling back the eye doctor?
Same objection, absolutely.
Yes, it's consistent with missing a call and calling that person back.
Okay. And let's look at the next event. And this is occurring while the defendant is inside the Target store, correct?
Yes, these calls occurred while she was inside the Target.
Okay. At 4:32, a few minutes after that call, what do we see captured on video?
This is a video that captures Monica Sementilli exiting the Target, and as she's exiting, she's staring into her cell phone, using her cell phone, and seems
Using her cell phone.
It's overruled.
seems to be preoccupied in her cell phone and almost miss the exit to the Target.
Objection, that's argument.
Is that what we see right here?
It's overruled.
Yes,
She has to redirect herself.
correct. And still looking at the cell phone as she exits Target.
Looking at the exterior surveillance video now at 4:32, what do we see here?
This will just follow Monica as she walks out of the Target, through the parking lot, and back to the F-150.
Okay. And what do we see here at 4:37?
Monica places an outgoing call to her daughter, Isabella.
And next? What do we see here at 4:38?
At
1
4
minute after that call.
Yes, at 4:38, we'll see video that depicts the Ford F-150 exiting the target lot. She backs out, actually comes the opposite direction of the direction when she arrived. Now she's, the F-150 is stopped waiting for the traffic light.
At Ventura.
At Ventura, she negotiates a left-hand turn and travels down eastbound Ventura Boulevard.
Okay.
What do we see here at 4:41 in 55 seconds, close to 4:42?
This is video that was captured in the Ralph's parking lot that's located on the southeast corner of Winnetka and Ventura Boulevard, and it will show the F-150 pulling into that Ralph's parking lot. The street where you see the bus there, that is Winnetka.
Okay.
So she's traveling southbound on Winnetka and actually enters one of the farthest entrances to that lot.
Passes several.
I believe there's at least one that you would pass.
And what do we see here at 4:42?
This is a sort of a closer video that captures the F-150, and it's going to travel through the parking lot and then park.
Okay. What's the next thing that we see here at 4:42? Bless you.
Yeah, a little less than a minute later, the entrance to the Ralph's supermarket, there's a surveillance camera there that captures Monica entering the market. She's pushing a cart, enters the market.
Moving on to the 4:45 timeline. At this point, we obviously know, because we haven't seen any video of him leaving, that Fabio is on the back patio and that Baker and Austin are still at the location.
Correct.
All right. And what do we see here happening at 4:46 after the defendant entered the Ralph's Market?
This is a Viber message from Monica to Robert Baker.
What do we see at 4:52?
This video will depict Monica exiting the the Ralph's supermarket. I noted that she no longer has the cart. She's just carrying a bag out of the store.
Small bag.
Small bag, correct.
In her right hand.
That's correct, and looks like some sort of a purse from her left.
Okay. And 1 minute after she exits the Ralph's, what do we see here at 4:53?
We're going to see Fabio Sementilli's Porsche, black Porsche, driven by Baker with Austin in the passenger seat, travel down Queen Victoria and make that right-hand turn down Oakdale. This cutout of that is just to illustrate that there are two persons in the vehicle, and the one driving is wearing the green shirt, and the passenger is in a dark colored hoodie.
And based on the DNA evidence in this case, you know, obviously, that Baker's DNA was found in the driver's compartment as well as on the steering wheel.
Correct.
And 1 minute after Baker drove away with Austin in victim Fabio Sementilli's Porsche, what do we see happening at 4:54?
Isabella Sementilli returns home. We'll see her negotiate that left-hand turn from Oakdale onto Queen Victoria. And this is her driving that red Fiat.
And 2 minutes after that, at 4:56, what do we see?
We're going to see that same camera at the Ralphs, in the area of the Ralphs there, capture the Porsche traveling down Winnetka towards Ventura Boulevard.
Okay.
So there we see the Porsche, obviously with the green circle around it, traveling towards Ventura Boulevard.
So the opposite direction that we saw the defendant travel when she was southbound from the target to the Ralphs.
Correct.
And what is the next event that we see occurring at 5:03 p.m. on the date that Fabio Sementilli was killed?
Yeah, this is approximately 10 minutes after after we see her exiting that Ralph. We're going to see the black F-150 traveling up Oakdale and make that left-hand turn onto Queen Victoria, and that is when Monica arrives home from Ralph's.
And at 5:14, in the late afternoon, what do we see here?
This is a Viber message from Robert Baker to Monica Sementilli.
And then just a few seconds later, we see that there's an incoming call to Baker.
Yes, Baker receives an incoming call from an individual in his contacts named LaShane Holmes.
And did his name come up during the course of your investigation?
Yes, it did.
And was he someone that you looked at, which we'll talk about a little bit later, as a potential third-party suspect in this case?
Yes.
And did you at some point exclude him because of certain evidence that you uncovered?
Yes, we, through our investigation, I determined that during the time of the crime, LaShane Holmes had an active parole ankle bracelet, that had a GPS, and we contacted parole and learned that that basically the GPS showed him at home in the Orange County area at the time of the murder.
Was he also another location where after the murder, besides Roger Brown at 331 Salem in Glendale, where he was observed by G&D and SIS surveillance crews, Al Birdsong's in Las Vegas, another Sheila and Ricardo Cabrera in the San Fernando Valley? Was this yet another location where Baker stayed for a period of time surrounding the murder?
Yes.
Connection, leading, speculation, no foundation.
Sustained.
Did you uncover evidence that Baker also stayed for a period of time, 1 or 2 nights, with LaShane Holmes?
Yes.
If I could have a moment. All right. Now, looking at moving forward in our timeline on January 23rd to 9:20 p.m. From a video on Khalifa Street, can you describe what we see here?
This is a surveillance system that was attached to one of the residents in this area on Khalifa Street, which captures an individual parking and abandoning the Fabio's stolen Porsche.
Now, we talked about this location yesterday. Approximately how far is Khalifa from Baker's residence at the time, 6817 Independence?
It's I didn't map that out, but I know the area. I would say that it's several miles, 4 or 5 miles probably.
4 to 5.
Well, I'm going to object, Your Honor. This is pure speculation.
It's overruled based on this witness's testimony.
This Khalifa location, do you know, again, approximately how far it is from the Sementilli residence on Queen Victoria?
I would say it's at least 5 miles as well. The Khalifa area where the car was abandoned is it's not like heavily the houses are big, the properties are larger, so there's not a lot of pedestrian traffic. There's not a lot of traffic at all. It's
Residential.
It feels like rural residential when you go to that area, actually.
All right. Now I want to move on and ask you some other questions. We saw that it took the defendant 10 minutes to return home from the Ralph's Market on the day of the murder. On any of the occasions where you drove that route during the same time period that the defendant did from the Rouse location back to the residence, did it ever take you 10 minutes?
Never.
In terms of the LA Fitness video, I know we talked about some of the video times being off and that they were corrected within the course of the creation of the PowerPoint timeline. Did you note that the LA Fitness video was off by an hour and 43 minutes?
Yes, that was noted, and in terms of this timeline, everything that's been depicted to the jury and to the court has been adjusted to the correct time. That was verified through finding the differences in the video and also through the cell phone records and other records in the case.
Did you count the number of Viber messages between the defendant and Baker on the date of January 23rd of 2017?
I did.
What was that number?
I have so many numbers now. I'm trying to. I believe it was.
Is it approximately 180?
I'm gonna check you on this is speculation. It's not knowledge.
Oh,
I'm sorry. The time period again.
On the day of the murder.
On the-
Starting only, so I'm not talking about, I'm excluding any messages during midnight to 6 a.m.,
Right.
counting in, as depicted in our timeline, during the 6 o'clock hour, we saw
Yeah.
that Viber message from the defendant to Baker, excluding that until that communication, that message from Baker to the defendant at 5:14 p.m. That was the last communication of the day, correct?
Not only was that the last communication of the day, but the Viber accounts were deactivated by both Robert Baker and Monica Sementilli on that day.
Okay. And after that date, they began using a different encrypted application to communicate, correct?
Correct.
And which one was that?
That was WhatsApp.
And approximately how many Viber communications were there with respect to the timeline that we showed between the 6 a.m. hour, again excluding anything from midnight to 6 a.m., just 6 a.m. until that last communication at 5:14 p.m.?
I would have to refer to my notes. I want to say that it was 95.
I'm gonna check you on at this point.
I'm gonna-
would it help to refer to your notes?
I have the numbers actually that I stored on my cell phone. I could find it.
That's good enough.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I need a little time.
All right, let's take our morning recess now for 15 minutes. The other supplies. See you back here in 15 minutes.
Thank you.
Sementilli, the defendant is present. All counsel are present. Jury and also present. Detective Roberts, please take the stand. You're still under oath. Mr. Irwin, you may continue.
So, before we took our break, I asked you how many Viber communications took place between the defendant and Robert Baker from 6 a.m. on the 23rd until that last message from Baker to the defendant at 5:14 p.m.
Correct. 95.
Okay. Now, did you also look at the Viber business records that were obtained pursuant to a search warrant with respect to the number of communications between them using Viber the day previous, on January 22nd, when there was an initial attempt to murder Fabio Sementilli?
Yeah.
That's two facts, not a
Sustain.
On that date, January 22nd, did you determine how many communications there were using Viber between the defendant and Robert Baker?
Yes, there were 180.
Did you also review records and phone extractions for devices relevant to the defendant, Robert Baker, and Chris Austin?
I did.
And did you learn from your review of those records that the defendant registered and began using WhatsApp on January 27th of
Yeah.
2017?
Yes.
And that Robert Baker registered for WhatsApp, the encrypted app we talked about before we took our break, on the night of the murder, January 23rd.
Correct.
And that Mr. Austin, who we'll talk about later, registered and began use on January 29th of 2017.
That's correct.
In going through the timeline yesterday and today, we noted that through a security system called Digital Life that the defendant mentioned in her interview on May 18th of 2017 with Detective Gable, Parshall, and Verna about getting text messages every time her closet mirror opens, behind which was the safe. And we saw that there was a text at 2:03 prior to the time the defendant left to go to Target. Was there, during the time that Baker and Austin were in the home, any text generated indicating the mirror had been opened or the safe had been opened behind the mirror to the defendant's phone?
I'm going to check, Your Honor. This is Lee.
It's overruled.
No.
Approach, please. All right.
I did.
And was there any text generated through that system during the period of time when Baker and Austin were inside the residence?
There was not.
You actually created a timeline of the Viber communications for the day prior to the murder on January 22nd, correct?
Yes, I believe so.
Now, through the course of your investigation, did you also review evidence relating to travel by the defendant and Robert Baker after the murder?
Yes.
And did some of the evidence that you reviewed come from a cell phone extraction relating to the defendant, her iPhone, I think it was booked as LAPD evidence item under the DR as 119, an Apple iPhone 7?
Yes.
And did you also review evidence that came from Robert Baker's Dropbox?
I did.
Did you also review evidence that came from the defendant's iCloud account that backed up or connected to her Apple iPhone?
Yes.
And did you also review evidence, including photographs, relating to an SD card that was found in the defendant's Ford Explorer along with various items of women's clothing?
Yes.
Did you also review evidence of, along with photographs of the extraction from Baker's Samsung S8, which was booked as item 121?
I did.
Showing you what was previously marked as exhibit (159), which contains 4 pages. Does this appear to be the timeline created from the use of the Viber records between the defendant and Mr. Baker on the date of January 22nd of 2017?
Yes.
And this was the date, as you testified, that there were approximately 180 Viber communications between them.
Correct.
Now, relating to travel, did you learn from your investigation as well as your review of the extractions from digital evidence that the defendant, along with Robert Baker, traveled to Las Vegas on 2 separate occasions.
Yes.
And do you know, did those trips occur one in March and one in May?
Correct.
And did you also view photographs and evidence relating to another trip that occurred at the end of May to another location?
Yes.
And where was that?
Myrtle Beach.
Okay. Showing you what's been previously marked as Exhibit 117. Do you recognize what you see here?
Yes.
And what is this?
These are photos captured from 157 was an SD card.
That was the SD card I just asked you about a few moments ago that was found in Baker's vehicle, the Ford Expedition.
Yes. And of course, on the right, we have a picture of Monica Sementilli and Robert Baker, and on the left, it's Monica standing next to a big banner about the event.
You know, this is cumulative, it's already been shown.
I understand that, except the source is not, it's overruled.
Now, did you also find evidence relating to this trip in the defendant's email account?
Yes.
Your Honor, I have two sets of documents that contain emails, one relating to the date of March 10th of 2017. It is 4 pages in length. The other dated March 18th of 2017, it is 2 pages in length. And the final document appears to be a ticket to the Paradise Party compound. May these items be collectively marked as People's 215.
They may.
Thank you.
And I'm going to object that it's irrelevant, Your Honor.
Overruled.
Your Honor, I stand corrected. Thank you, Detective. The second set of emails is dated May 18th of 2017, the one that's 2 pages in length. And I'm going to start with the ticket at the back. Showing you part of 216. There is a number 4.
215.
215.
Yeah.
Okay, I wrote it wrong.
Oh, you wrote it down. Sorry.
215. Thank you, Your Honor. There is a 4 in the lower left corner. Have you seen this before?
Yes.
And is this one of the items that you recovered from the defendant's email?
Yes.
Along with various documentation with respect to booking airfare and this event.
Yes.
Showing you the first page. email from March 10th of 2017 from Expedia Travel. Can you tell us what we're looking at here?
The document speaks for itself, you know.
Overruled.
It's an itinerary basically for the flight, hotel, for the time frame of May 25th to May 29th.
And at the very top of this email from Expedia, is it emailed to the defendant's email in her Hotmail account?
Yes, that is the email for Monica Sementilli.
And if we move down to the itinerary, does it indicate flight from LAX on May 25th, round trip to Myrtle Beach with the price of $2,387 with an itinerary number?
Yes,
And does this document lay out the itinerary in terms of the airfare and the flights from Los Angeles to Charlotte, from Charlotte, South Carolina to Myrtle Beach?
yes.
As well as at the top of the third page, itinerary or confirmation number for the Sheraton Hotel at the Convention Center
Yes,
under the defendant's name.
correct.
Showing you the second email from May 18th of 2017. Did you also note this with respect to your review of the defendant's email account from the defendant to an individual by the name of Tony Chubbs Marcus?
Yes.
And what does this relate to?
The pass, sort of like the pass to the weekend pass to the whole party event. Monica had purchased 2 tickets and hadn't received them.
And is that what she indicates on the first couple lines here at the top of People's 215 help? Still have not received confirmation email for tickets.
Correct.
And then in response, is there an email saying that your confirmation has been sent?
Yes, resent.
Resent. I have an email from the Aria Sky Suites to the defendant dated July 18th of 2016. May this document be marked as People's Exhibit 216.
Yes.
Showing you People's 216. Do you recognize what you see here from the defendant's email account?
Yes, this is a forwarded itinerary of Fabio's travel to the Wella professional hair event in Las Vegas at the Aria.
In July of 2016?
Correct. And Monica forwarded it to Diane at Racquetball, which is a email address for Robert Baker.
And at the bottom of the second page of People's 216, does it contain a map respect to the registration area and a path from the valet to that location at the casino level.
Yes.
And did that appear to match up to what has previously been marked 156 within Curtis Davis's PowerPoint with respect to a deleted email from the defendant's email account?
Yes.
Also showing you a document from Curtis Davis's PowerPoint, in this case 156, showing registration of a new Samsung S6 registered on January 23rd for WhatsApp, as we discussed a few moments ago. During the course of your investigation, did you ever recover a Samsung S6?
No.
Did you ever recover a flip phone relating to, oh, you know what, I'm going to come back to that. Oh. Set of 7 photographs that are photographs obtained from either Baker's Dropbox, his phone, or the defendant's phone, or from photographs from a search warrant. May they be marked collectively as people's 216?
217.
Showing you photographs from what was previously marked as People's 192. Did you find these photographs within Baker's Dropbox under a folder that was created under the name Monica?
Yes.
Looking at the center photo, do you know where this photograph was taken?
Yes.
Where is that?
This was in the underground parking area of the apartment complex where Robert Baker lived.
Showing you photographs contained in People's 217 that has a 6 in the lower left corner. photographs from December 14th from 2016 at 12:59 in the morning. Do you recognize what you see here?
Yes, I do.
And what do these photographs depict?
They depict Monica Sementilli with Robert Baker in the photograph on the right. She's holding a cigar and they're smiling together. And on the left, they're kissing.
There is a continuing objection to the photograph.
Yes, I understand that, sir.
Did you find in Robert Baker's Dropbox numerous photographs that were sexually graphic in nature?
Yes.
Can you describe for us what those photographs depicted?
Objection, Your Honor, that's cumulative. It's open-ended.
Let me see his sidebar. Let us proceed, please.
Let me try again.
That's argument.
I'll allow that.
Did you understand my last question?
I did, but I don't remember it.
Did you find numerous. When I say numerous, over 240 photographs, videos of a sexually graphic nature relating to the defendant and Robert Baker, stored in Robert Baker's Dropbox under a couple different names.
Yes.
Was one of those names Madonna?
Yes.
And another one named Real Madonna?
Yes.
Can you describe for us, let me ask you this, were the photographs of a sexually graphic or explicit nature ranging from 2016 to photographs in 2017?
Yes.
Can you give us a generalized description of what these photographs encompassed, Detective, based on your experience with sex crimes?
Yes. There was, as you stated previously, over 240 photos, mostly photos, some video, depicting Monica Baker. I'm sorry, I apologize. Monica Sementilli, partially clothed, completely nude, seductive poses. There were photos of close-ups of Monica Sementilli's vagina, close-ups of her breasts, close-ups of Robert Baker's penis. There were explicit photos of sexual intercourse, oral copulation, wherein Monica is oral copulating Robert Baker, oral copulation by Monica on other unknown males, screenshots of Skype type videoing of Monica engaged in various sex acts with an unknown male. There were masturbation, various photos of masturbation by Robert Baker, masturbation by Monica Sementilli, close-up pictures of an anus, close-up pictures of a finger in an anus, and then various sort of posed pictures, partially clothed or nude in various locations, sort of like more nude modeling, I would say.
Okay. And when you described some of these photos, could you tell from the background of the photographs where some of these photos were taken?
Yes.
And did some of those photographs take place in Robert Baker's apartment on Independence?
Yes.
And could you also tell that some of those photographs were actually taken in public late at night outside?
Yes.
Your Honor, what number was it? 217 that I marked this set with the
your last?
Yeah, 217, was that the set of?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Showing you People's 217. There is a 4, Your Honor, in the lower left corner for the record. Again, as we just discussed, were these some of the photographs as well as Skype that you located in Robert Baker's Dropbox under a folder titled Monica from various dates in 2016, including October and November?
Yes.
The still photograph that we see here on the left, is this what you were referring to when you said there were Skypes or videos of Skypes?
I was actually referring more to a screenshot of an actual sex act, and the bottom of that screenshot actually said Skype, so I knew that was Skype. This is obviously a screenshot from some sort of similar application where you can talk to somebody via video.
Okay, so this might be a video where a screenshot was taken from perhaps like FaceTime or something of that nature.
Correct.
Okay, and does this include in this photograph a picture of the defendant with Robert Baker?
Yes, and I can tell just by the background that Robert Baker is in his apartment.
And actually, from that photograph, does it appear that he's not only in his apartment, but that he's in his bedroom?
Yes.
And you know that based on that something that you see in the background?
Yes, that his chest of drawers and with the mirror.
Showing you what's been marked as People's 217 that has an 8 in the lower left corner, a photograph amongst the search warrant photos from the date of the arrest of June 14th of 2017. Can you tell us if you recognize what you see here?
This is Robert Baker's bedroom, and he has that very distinctive duvet or cover on his bed. And then that's the mirror that I talked about previously on the dresser drawers.
Showing you People's 217 that has a 9 in the lower left corner. Is this, again, a photograph recovered from Robert Baker's Dropbox under the folder Monica with metadata of the date of November 3rd, 2017 at 9:34 p.m.?
Yes.
Looking at these, the photograph on the left, does the photograph to the right appear to be a close-up of some writing on the mirror above that dresser in Robert Baker's bedroom?
It is.
And what do we see here in these photographs?
So Monica is looking into the mirror, I believe, putting makeup on, and up in the upper right-hand corner of the mirror it says Mrs. Baker, and then you can actually see Robert Baker captured in the mirror taking the photograph.
When you observed the photograph in the Dropbox folder, it did not contain the black privacy box that you placed, correct?
Correct. Her buttocks were exposed in the actual picture.
Showing you People's Exhibit 217, there's a 1 in the lower left corner. Do you recognize what you see here?
Yes.
And what is this?
This is 2 photographs of Monica Sementilli laying on Robert Baker's bed in Robert Baker's apartment, and she's wearing an Army t-shirt which was given to her by Robert Baker.
Showing you what we've now marked as People's 217. It has 2 in the lower left corner. I can see that the photograph, as it appears here, is reversed. Do you recognize what you see here?
Yes, this is Monica when she's traveling home from the trip to Toronto to celebrate Fabio. She's in the picture on the right. I believe that's the first class lounge. She's having something to drink, and she's wearing that same Army T-shirt. And then in the left-hand corner, she's in first class on the plane with the, I believe it's the menu.
And were these photographs recovered from cell phone extractions from her Apple iPhone, as we talked about earlier, number 119, and Baker's, one of his Samsungs, number 121?
Correct.
Okay. Looking at People's 217, hard to see. There's a 1 in the lower left corner. Do you recognize these photographs from, again, one of Baker's Samsungs, number 121, that were taken on June 6th of 2017?
Yes, this is at the depicting Monica playing pool at the Rabbit Hole Bar, which, if I remember correctly, is in West Hills.
Okay. Now, with respect to the date of June 6th of 2017, later that night at approximately 11:30, were there also photos that were taken that you observed in the item number 121, Baker's Samsung, of the defendant posing in front of a new Mustang?
Yes.
And can you describe what was depicted in those photos?
It's probably 24 or so photos of I would describe them as modeling type photos that starts out sort of scantily clad with a long, I don't know if it's a long shirt or a dress. It's open, it's exposing partial parts of Monica Sementilli's either buttocks or breasts. And then as the photos go on, she's no longer in the clothes. If I remember correctly, she's wearing very high heels and almost like leg warmers that go all the way up to the knee. It makes it look kind of like a boot, but it's actually a heel with a leg warmer. And in the latter photos, that's all she's sort of wearing. And she's posing in different sort of provocative poses, both next to the Mustang and up against like a metal post pole.
Like potentially a light pole?
Yes.
Now, some of the photographs that you found in these various devices, or on these various devices, were some of them taken while the defendant was on vacation prior to his murder with Fabio Sementilli.
Yes.
Were some of those photos taken in August of 2016 in Cabo San Lucas at a hotel called the Cape Hotel?
Yes.
And were some of those photographs taken on a trendsetter trip to Hawaii at the Kahala Hotel in October of 2016?
Yes.
Did you also find photographs of a graphic, explicit nature that were taken that one might describe as selfies while the defendant was in Toronto burying her husband?
Yes.
were there also numerous naked or sexually graphic photos, as you've described them, of the defendant posing in her own home, either in her bedroom or lying on the couch in the family room area or posing in front of the dresser in her bedroom?
Yes, as well as some video.
Video with respect to sex acts, simulating sex acts or masturbation with various objects?
That is correct. Masturbation.
Did you also find photographs in these devices of the defendant drinking wine while cooking naked in Baker's apartment in the kitchen area?
Yes.
Some of these photographs that you found in Baker's Dropbox or on the extraction for the Samsung S8, the device 121, were those also contained in the defendant's iCloud account?
Yes.
And did some of those appear to contain photographs of her lying naked while she was in Toronto visiting family in August of 2016?
Yes.
Did some of those photographs also contain various simulated acts of graphic nature involving, let's say, masturbation?
Yes.
And did the iCloud backup belonging to the defendant also contain the photographs of her trips with her husband, such as to Mexico, Cabo San Lucas in 2016?
Yes.
Did also some of those photographs in her iCloud contain photographs, many photographs, of her performing oral sex on Robert Baker inside of his Ford Expedition?
Yes.
With respect to the SD card,
I'm going to object. This is far beyond anything
One moment. We can,
relevant to the murder case.
one moment, counsel. We can approach.
going back for a moment to what was marked as People's 217, in the lower left corner there's a 9. The date on this one is actually 2016, is that correct? At 9:30 p.m., not 2017.
Correct.
Thank you, Counsel. The question I had just asked you was about the SD card number 157 found in the Ford Expedition belonging to Robert Baker, along with various items of clothing. did those also contain some of the same type of sexually graphic photos that you've described during the time the defendant was in Toronto for her husband's funeral?
Yes.
I want to now move on to an area with respect to burner phones. Can you tell us, please, what is a burner phone?
Typically, it's a hard to trace obtained usually for so that law enforcement can't link it to an individual. A lot of times
No foundation.
Sustained.
Sure. What's your experience with burner phones?
I've had a lot of experience, unfortunately, with cases that I've worked where the suspect that I'm looking for has tried to elude or elude capture or get away with the crime by using a burner phone as opposed to a phone that's registered to that person.
And
And
how?
I've actually purchased burner phones to assist myself in an investigation, so that criminals don't know that I'm from the police department calling them.
So what do you mean when you say you've done it yourself? Tell us what that means. What have you done?
For example, I had a case where we were working with an informant, and the informant needed to make a series of phone calls for us, so we went into Walmart and purchased a prepaid cell phone with, I don't know, 200 minutes on it that is virtually untraceable. You don't have to give a name. All you pay for it. We paid for it in cash, so we didn't leave a trail of credit card, and there was no way to link that phone back to us.
So have you also handled cases where someone might purchase such a phone that's untraceable, where because they're paying cash up front for the minutes, so they don't need to purchase a where they might use even fake names and addresses.
Yes, it's typically if you go into more of the traditional like Metro PCS or T-Mobile or things like that, you have to give some information. You have to give us information, a name, an address. You don't necessarily have to show ID, but you have to give information. And in those cases, what criminals have done to get around that is given fake information, fake names, fake addresses.
Did you find that that tactic was utilized in this case?
It was.
Okay. So, I want to ask you with respect to the evidence in this case, we heard that at the time of her arrest, the defendant in her Mustang on June 14th of 2017 in her purse was in possession of two phones, one the Apple iPhone 119 that we've talked about, the other being a ZTE flip phone that was booked into evidence under this DR number for this case on a property number 120 that contained a cell phone number 747-250-0708. Did you uncover or investigate that particular phone along with a second phone?
Yes.
Can you tell us what you did and what you learned?
If I can, I want to say the date was January 29th. Two cell phones were just at a T-Mobile, I believe it was a T-Mobile in Victorville off of Hook Avenue. One was the ZTE flip phone, and another was an LG stylus phone. The individual who purchased the phone gave a fake name of Daniel Jones, correct, and a fictitious address that actually doesn't even exist, a fictitious of Panama City, I think it was, Lindale Ave in Panama City.
Glendale Ave in Panama City.
I think it was Lindale,
Lindale.
Lindale.
Okay. And what else did you uncover?
We through a search warrant, I obtained cell phone records for both of those cell phones, and in relation to the LG phone, which was also a 747 number. I think it was 747-880. I don't remember the last four. In analyzing the CDRs for that phone, I realized that there were common contacts for Robert Baker in those phones, that phone was being used by Robert Baker as a burner phone, basically.
So once you obtained those cell phone records relating to these two phone numbers, you said that you noted that contacts relating to Robert Baker were contained on one or both of those phones?
One.
And which phone of the two was that?
That was the LG.
Okay. And did you uncover, based on those records, information relating to the ZTE phone, number 120, that was recovered, as I mentioned, in the defendant's Mustang on June 14th.
Yes.
Did you also, pursuant to a search warrant, obtain information from T-Mobile regarding these two phones?
Yes.
Your Honor, I have documents relating to the ZTE flip phone number 120, as well as the LG phone from T-Mobile, and each of these items have photographs attached, one of which the ZTE has already been marked as 150. Could I have this set of documents and the additional photo marked as people's next in order?
218.
Thank you. document that's now been marked under this package for 218. Do you recognize what you see here?
Yes.
And what is this?
This is basically when law enforcement writes a search warrant, this is one of the things that they provide. We request and is provided along with the CDR, and it's basically subscriber information. Who is the owner basically of that phone and that phone number?
And was this search warrant that references a DR number, is that DR number the DR number specific in this case?
Yes, it is.
And does it contain on this document here that I'm highlighting the phone number 747-888-216?
Yes.
Were you also in court yesterday during the testimony of one of Robert Baker's friends, Roger Brown,
Yes.
showing you what was marked yesterday as People's 212. Is that the same phone number that we see here that he testified to yesterday as a phone number provided him by Baker after the murder, the 747-888-216?
Yes.
And what does this document that we were
gives the subscriber name, and again, this is just the name that was provided. T-Mobile,
Daniel Jones?
Daniel Jones, an address, the subscriber address as it was provided by the person that bought the phone. And
That
this-
was the Indale street in Panama City that you said was a non-existent or a fake address?
Yes.
And does it also indicate just below the actual date?
Yes, and even sort of more importantly is that activation date on 1/29/2017.
What I've just highlighted?
Correct.
Okay. And then beneath this, does it also indicate the same information with respect to the description or the phone model? Being an LG stylus.
Yes, gives all the identifying information for that specific device.
Showing you people's 218. There's a 3 in the lower left corner. Did you locate this photograph in item 121, the Samsung S? A screenshot of this very phone taken June 3rd of 2017, that being the LG.
Yes, unfortunately in this case, we never recovered the LG phone, but we did find evidence of it in a photograph recovered from Robert Baker's device.
Which matched up to the search warrant information, correct?
Yes, it is an LG phone. It appears to be the same in look and style as the LG Stylo 2 Plus.
Showing you the second document from T. Within People's 218. Do you recognize what you see here?
Yes.
And what is this?
Again, the subscriber information to the ZTE phone, and it was acquired at the same place. On date with the same subscriber name and fictitious subscriber name and address.
Okay. So again, Daniel Jones at the same Panama City address. Activation date, correct?
Correct.
And here the phone number 74. $7,250-0708, correct?
That's correct.
And you're telling us that that was phone number for the ZTE flip phone that was recovered, that we see here depicted in People's 150.
Correct.
Did you also let me just go back to that T-Mobile document. Does it also indicate phone model ZTE black?
Symbol, yes.
Did you uncover any information, given that you were able to device extraction on the ZTE flip